Sup everybody! So, TMM again. I'm actually considering changing a little something about TMM, but today we're going to stay with the usual course and talk about our methods or just kind of ideas as far as traditionals go. And yes, if you can hear it, it is storming outside right now in Maryland, so if the lights go out, I'm still going to keep talking. But who cares, right? Anyway, so today's video is actually going to be, with the help of Stringer Shack, is going to be about these two items here. Not the heads, but the synthetic runners and leathers. And basically what the difference is as far as preference and use. But more or less about preference. But these are not the new G3 Performance synthetic runners. They are the old school synthetic runners. I'm not exactly sure what's in them, but these ones should be the raw ones. Otherwise, they're usually dipped in, I could be very wrong, but polyurethane is what usually stuff is dipped in. But so synthetic runners, which is just braided nylon, as you can see, or threaded nylon, whatever you want to call it, and your basic leathers. Okay, so start with leathers. Leathers are pretty much the mainstay for traditionals. If it's got leathers, it's a traditional, except for hybrids. Let me elaborate on that just real quick. Hybrids are where you incorporate mesh, actual literal mesh, into a pocket with leathers. That is a hybrid. That is not a traditional. It's a blend between the two, so a hybrid. Now, your basic traditional pockets will have your 4 leathers, 2 leathers, 3 leathers, 5 leathers, whatever. So these leathers are what creates your, more or less, the shape of your pocket. Your strings are attached to each section, and that creates how the pocket is formed, how the ball stays in the pocket, your release, your hold, everything. Your leathers are what allows that to happen instead of just having a free range of whatever goes on with the strings. And leathers have been used for years, like more than decades. Leathers are what the Native American nations have. I always want to try and pronounce the tribes and everything, but I don't want to screw it up just out of respect. So the tribes have been using leathers since before other races, other people came to this country, to this land, if you will. The leathers have been used for, I guess you could say recorded history would be about 1,000 years, but I'm pretty sure they've probably been used a little longer than that. So leathers are just skin, so animal skin or hide, if you will, sliced up into strips and used in what is considered making a pocket. And leathers tend to break, they stretch, depending on how they're prepped, aluminum or chrome or whatever, however they're prepped and created, determines how much they will usually stretch. And if you want to go into more detail, go on to Lax All Stars and look up the article that they have about leathers. I believe Connor Wilson is the one that did it, and it's talking about the different types of leathers and how they're made and the benefits of those. But so you use leathers for your traditional, and they've just been used for a long time, and they break, they stretch, but the thing is, if you do it correctly, you get the right leathers, they stretch just enough to where the pocket is perfect. As long as the person that is stringing it knows exactly what they're doing, either initially or after it starts breaking in order to help you keep it going, your pocket can be beautiful. Not appearance-wise, but performance-wise. And moving over into your synthetics. Your synthetics, like I said, are braided nylon or threaded nylon, as you can see. The only people that I believe make them right now currently are Stringer Shack, and that's where these ones are from again. Same exact thing that they are used for as your leathers. But the thing is, they don't stretch. They don't really stretch at all because of how they're braided and everything. Like, they'll stretch a little bit, but they don't stretch anywhere near as much as leathers would. They don't really break in like that. So whereas with leathers, you would do like half a ball's depth with just your regular leathers, and then it would break in to a full ball's depth as long as you have the strings done correctly. With synthetic runners, you can pretty much have your pocket at just short of ball depth, and it'll stretch right into ball depth. And it'll, of course, make sure that it's strung correctly so that it won't go any further or whatever. But that's the benefit of these things, is that they're more or less waterproof or weather resistant, I guess is what you should use as a turn of phrase. But they are much more resilient to the weather. But because of their construction, with how they are made with nylon, they are actually rather slick. So whereas your leathers, it'll bite into the leathers. Let's see if you can see that. See how my thumb just kind of bit into the leathers, and over time the strings will bite in so much. And I've shown you guys this before, that they'll bite into it and create an indent in the leathers, and then the string will barely ever move from that spot. Like, sure, it'll shift a little bit, and the string will like feed through and feed back and whatnot to allow the pocket to shift. But with synthetics, you have to be really careful how you do your knots. You can't really just do a single interlock if you're going to do pitas or classics or whatever. If you're going to do a traditional with your synthetic runners, at least for your center runners, you really want to incorporate double interlocks to create your tension. So with the double interlocks, it keeps it from shifting so easily during use, and especially extended use when everything starts to kind of stretch and mold to how you're using it. And you just have to be really careful with your synthetic runners. I've used them before, and I had just a regular classic traditional in it, because obviously I have to test that in order to see if it actually works in comparison to leathers. And it performed really well for a while, and then the interlock started shifting. And even after I started changing tensions and everything, they kept slipping. And so that's when I realized that you should probably use double interlocks. And depending on the person, double interlocks can be a little tricky as far as depending on what kind of pocket you're trying to do. But so you want to use your synthetics with caution. I believe the G3 ones are supposed to be a little bit better. They're supposed to have slightly bigger, like braided parts, so that the strings will actually bite into them a lot better, or at least hug them a little bit better than, say, these older ones, the originals. Much more like your leathers. So synthetics, be careful if you're not really good at stringing, or you haven't been stringing for a while and you haven't played around with a lot of different knots and a lot of different methods. I would strongly recommend playing around with them before you actually incorporate them into your pockets and try and use them in a game situation or anything like that. Really play with them. And the thing is about your synthetics is that they are reusable. They're far more reusable than leathers are. Your leathers, you usually have to pull them out or pretty much chuck them after you cut them out. With your synthetics, if you do it correctly, like with your removable top strings and everything, you can reuse these bad boys. Like, they are string, so if you cut them, you can melt them, and then so on and so forth. But synthetics are a great invention, but I think there's still a little bit of ways to go, at least as far as the old school ones. Like I said, I haven't messed with the G3s yet, and so until I mess with the G3s, that's my opinion of synthetics in comparison to leather. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this kind of gave you a little bit of a look into leathers versus synthetics. And I mean, as of right now, until I get the G3, I'd say go with leathers. It's my personal preference and my advice. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will check you guys later. Okay? Later.